Hello world, I'm King Cortez coming live from Web3. You may notice I brought the blurry background back, and the only reason is I'm too tired to stand up and close the closet behind me. It's currently 1 a.m. My day wasn't too intensive in the terms of writing. I actually did not write today. I essentially ripped it off, worked on lighter cognitive tasks, such as articulating a marketing approach for Scholar's NFT collection. And I had a really, really good conversation with an old friend. We went into derivatives of meaning from philosophy, happiness, consciousness, blockchain, technology, math, calculus, and what I want to express today is the circle of influence, and most importantly, I would call it circle of exposure with your friends. So to give personal context, my main circle relies with my co-founders, Luis Fausto and Carlos Miranda. I've been with them for years and years. Even before Learn, we had a digital marketing agency. We did e-commerce together. We'd even played soccer together. And the beautiful thing about these relationships is that they foster a tremendous amount of growth because each individual is growing in their own way. And when they contribute their input, they're giving their input from their developed perspective. And you know that it's coming from good faith. And that's where I want to focus on is the conversation around good faith with people and with perspectives that will develop you. And this is not easy to foster and develop because I've met plenty of people who wish they had a close circle or a community that was focused on goodwill and collective progression. And it's not easy to upstart this. I'll give a quick story on how my close circle really initiated. First, it came off with being an autodidact. This is my senior year of high school, graduated 2016. I really got into self-development that year, and I told Carlos, who had been my best friend since probably 8th grade, and we were taking to look at the next steps in our life, right? Post high school, you don't really know what you're going to do. And throughout the process of figuring out university processes and so on, I stumbled upon self-help and I told him, hey, like this is an interesting thing and this is an area we should focus on. We should develop ourselves. We are in control. And that led down a compounding effect, complex system of growth. And after high school, we started our first venture. But the base was that I brought to Carlos, he was receptive to this idea of self-help. And this is where it might be challenging for some people. This is where background and culture is important because some people are going to be more receptive and some people are actually going to be quite hostile towards change. You have to know how to navigate this space. I would recommend being diligent on communication and cognitive psychology. These will give you tools in your mental arsenal on how to cultivate change. You have to influence individuals if you want to develop this community from the uproot. Then there's also the approach of attracting like-minded individuals. And this is much more scalable and I would say easier because each individual is already in their own system. And here is where I think the best approach is to start showcasing yourself externally. Showcase your habits, your positive traits, the areas that you want to be recognized for, and it will be leading a form of attraction because people will perceive you a certain type of way. You do have to be careful, just realize everything you will give an output will yield a certain viewpoint among yourself, especially on social media. Each social media is a cultural melting pot itself. So you have to know how to navigate the space. But the point being is, if you put yourself out there, you will attract a certain type of demographic. And excuse me, if you attract a community that is like-minded or individuals that are like-minded, you can definitely develop a community. And this is where I've had the privilege to learn and grow in a shared space with Learnio and other areas of my autodidactic journey. I've been plenty of communities of just entrepreneurs, like-minded people, and you get into these entourages and they do progress. But the thing is, it's not essentially the end goal. You end up in these environments because your end goal is your development. And it's not in a selfish, narcissistic way. Rather, it's to be at the table, you have to deserve to be at the table. The way you do so is by putting your head down and working. And the conversation that I had today with a close friend, shout out Efren, we essentially met at a cross point. We've been developing ourselves for several years. We've known each other since high school, and the conversation ripped it off, and it was a beautiful experience. This is the exciting thing about connecting with people, is that it's a very warming process. My friend said it's a warmness to the spirit. And I really like that saying because you leave the conversation and the hangout in a very unique experience that can't be fostered any other way. I think humans innately are programmed to converse at a biological level with face-to-face interaction, real-time feedback, dynamic environment, and the way each individual operates, you pick up. And that leads to a perception upon the individual that you're conversing with. And if you share strong affinity, then it will be a very pleasant experience because so much stimuli is interacting between you and the other party. But the point being is that you should aim to have this circle or friends or environment that is an external source that yields progression in good faith. And this is the point of what is good faith: is it ethics, is it morality, values? And I can't give an answer exactly what it is, but one base principle I do want to focus on is integrity. How would this person behave if you weren't looking? Or how are they when you are not there? How do they treat others in front of you? You will be able to identify patterns in identity that will give clues about how this person is. There's a good book called the H Factor, which is about psychometrics, the ability to read people. And it's a good book to give categorization of individuals. It stands for Hexaco. It's what's the H? I think the H is the Hexaco. E is for extrovertness. C is for conscientiousness. The O is for openness. I forgot the exact acronym, but it's a good category to analyze someone and kind of tag the positioning that you view them. And there's a time and place to analyze people, of course, but when you're developing these relationships and getting the base structured, this is where we definitely operate and make calculated judgment with people. But regardless, the whole premise of this talk and the point I want to get across is build that community. It's a priceless thing to have. And we definitely innately evolved for this. I read a good book called Friendship, which is how the biological and neurochemical feedback we crave and need has to do with human interaction. And it's at the physical level: palpation, conversing, eye contact, things that we subconsciously pick up that lead to good health. There's plenty of studies that if you're just in sheer isolation, you tend to be more depressed. And being in Web3, being in the internet, humanity is definitely shifting to this isolation. We do foster these communities online, but the experience of real life and digital is still grand. The contrast is still enormous. So take care of your physical space, your physical world. Listen to your body, look, know where to look, and know how to develop and have these people with good faith. Okay, so noticing I'm riffing off. Philosophical has been a long time since I gave subjective philosophical advice, I would say, but just the experience that I had today, I thought it'd be worth sharing with the daily learnings. Okay, so I'll conclude here and thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.